Greetings duelists, and welcome to another video. So with the release of Battles of Legend, we already know that a lot of people are gravitating towards the attention of this card right here, Assault Synchron. In the OCG, we had a very popular strategy that involved Assault Synchron. It involved the Adventure package and involved like the Bystial monsters. It was a really cool deck. It was really popular in the OCG. It had a lot of success until the Bystial monsters got limited. You can make the argument that that was the main reason the Bystial monsters got limited in the OCG in the first place. But yeah, like basically it was a really cool combo centric synchro deck. A very key difference between the OCG and the TCG is that they have Chaos Ruler and we do not. So that's something very important to note. However, that does not mean that this deck is not playable. It means that you just have to play in a variety of different ways. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to showcase you a card that came out in Battles of Legend that not many people have even talked about. And I feel like in a strategy like this one, that card can be really strong, and it could do a lot of damage to your opponent. But in order to showcase that combo, that card, I'm gonna have to showcase you the combo itself. So without further ado, let's begin. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to banish Enchantress. With Enchantress, we're going to grab. No, not that. We're going to grab Rite of Pharmacy. We're going to trigger the Rite of Pharmacy. We're going to put a token, and we're going to put Faithful Adventure. So this was activated, this token was placed, and this card was activated as well. After all of that resolves, we're going to do Faithful Adventure to grab a monster. The monster that we're grabbing is Illegal Knight. Why are we grabbing Illegal Knight? The number one reason we're doing that is because it's graveyard fodder for the Bystials. So what we're gonna do now is we'll activate Lubellion. Lubellion can send itself to a graveyard. We can add any Bystial. It could be any of them. We're going to grab Serenir. So now we're going to activate the Assault Synchron. So Assault Synchron is going to be summoned. We're going to take 700. And I'll give you guys 3 seconds to guess what monster I'm going to summon out of my extra deck. 3, 2, 1. Okay, you're probably not gonna guess it unless you see the thumbnail, or that is if I actually decide to put it in the thumbnail. But the card that we're summoning is called Borea Storm of the Wicked Wind. So what does the Black Wind do? First effect, this materials requires a dark tuner and non-tuner. So Assault Synchron is a dark, so you can make this. The first effect is, if this card is Synchro Summon, you can send one Black Wind monster from your deck to the graveyard. So that's exactly what we're gonna do. And we have two options. We have Black Wind Zephyros the Elite, or the new card that came in Battles of Legend, Changra of the Waning Moon. And that's exactly the card that we're going to send with this. So let's read the rest of the effects before we go to Changra. And if you do, this card's level becomes the same as that monster. So Borea is now level 2. Here we go. When this card destroys a monster by battle and sends to the graveyard, you can banish one Black Wind monster, or from your graveyard face up on the field, and you can special summon that monster. Pretty much like Goyo Guardian-esque effect. We don't care about that effect. The only effect that we cared about is because of sending Waning Moon. So what does Waning Moon do? Let's read it. If a monster with 2000 or more attack is on the board, Adventure token, Bystials, any Synchro, for example, you can special summon this card. The second effect, if you control a Black Wind Synchro monster while this card is in your graveyard, you can target one face-up card your opponent controls, banish this card, and if you do, destroy that card. And it's a quick effect. So what are we doing here? Now what we're going to do is we're going to activate Bystial Magnamut. We're going to banish the illegal knight that we had earlier. So now that's gone. This triggers for the end phase. And now what we're going to do is we're going to synchro these two into Accel Stardust Synchro Dragon. And our target for the Accel Synchro Stardust is going to be the Borea. The Changra. Why are we bringing back the Changra? The reason we're doing that is because the Changra and the Accel Stardust Synchro is going to summon us Blackwing Full Armor Master. So what does Full Armor Master do? Basically the first effect is it's unaffected by every single card, so essentially it's a towers. Second effect, each time your opponent monster activates an effect, you put a wedge counter. After that effect resolves, once per turn, you can target a monster your opponent controls that has a wedge counter and take control of it. During your end phase, you can destroy everything on the board that has a wedge counter. Okay, so this card by itself does not do a lot. Like, putting counters on your opponent's monster is really strong pressure for your opponent. It pretty much forces them to get out this card. But it doesn't stop them from running over it. And in the game, there are many monsters that have over 3,000 attacks that are very easy to summon. Some of them are even hard to get rid of, like Chaos Angel, for example. However, with Waning Moon, now basically Full Armor Master becomes an interruption to destroy one card unless your opponent gets rid of this. And not only that, it really makes it so your opponent has to contest the board that you're making alongside the Armor Master, because if they don't, everything they summon has a wedge counter, which means next turn you just obliterate their board and they pretty much lost a lot of resources in the process, and therefore you can still like continue like grinding out the game. And this alone is not good enough disruption, but again, like, we still have a lot of cards we can do. Like, for example, we can special the Saronir, we can banish like the Magnamort, we can then do Lubellion, tribute, summon. Then Lubellion can do this, and it can bring back, it can put the Branded Beast as an example, as another interruption. Like, that's just one example. There is a line where you can tribute the Accel Stardust and then summon regular Stardust, and then with Assault Synchron, banish, use it to summon the other Stardust, and then you can use the Changra to make Dissipator and then banish it and then bring it back with Dissipator and then make the Armor Master, and then you have multiple interruptions. There are like other end boards that you can end on this alongside this, but yeah, the point I'm trying to make is this is a very cool combo. It's not really hard to set up, and we're not just playing Changra, we're also playing like Blackwing Zephyros, so that's another card that you can use as part of this combo. And it can turn like the Borea into like a level 4, which means it can make it so you can make it into Synchro 10s easier. Another combo I kind of want to show involves the Borea as well, but it also involves this card. It's called Black Feather Dark Rage Dragon. So what this card does is that if you take damage this turn, you can send up to 5 cards from the top of your deck to your graveyard, and if any monsters were sent to the graveyard with this effect, you can gain it for 100 attack. So we have 2 ways to take damage. The first one is Blackwing Zephyros the Elite, and the second one is Assault Synchron. So there are 2 ways to trigger this card, and even though this card does not impact you the game the same way Chaos Ruler does, it's pretty much a bootleg Chaos Ruler, and it's not really that hard to summon in this deck. So that's really, really cool because let's say for example we did summon it and we mill like 5 for example. We didn't mill anything here, but we do run like other cards you can mill that kind of do have a greater effect. Like we have the Apple Dragon for example, you have the Shinobi Necro, you have like Water Enchantress in case you don't open the adventure cards, like the Mikanto Ceremony. Like there are a lot of cool avenues that you can do with this deck that can involve this card. The last card I kind of want to talk about is this card right here. It's called Angel of Zera. A lot of people don't remember this card. This card came out in 2013. It was around Dragon Ruler format, which is ironic and funny because this card was not played in the Ruler deck, even though that deck involved around banishing. But yeah, this card, essentially what it does is during the standby phase of the next turn this card was banished, you can special summon this banished card. So in a deck that plays a lot of Bystial monsters like this one, this card is really, really cool because it's basically almost infinite recursion and advantage that you can set up almost every turn. And we're in a format where the grind game is very, very important, so having a backup plan or having like a monster that can stick to the board and makes it really hard for your opponent to deal with is something very, very welcomed. It is a level 8 monster, so with other Synchro 2s you can make like this Baiter, you can make the Sword Soul Synchro, you can make Baron the Floor. But yeah, that was pretty much something I kind of wanted to showcase. There's a lot of strategies unexplored with this deck. This deck is by no means being solved. But I hope you found this video informative. I found you found this like very, very fun. I hope you like experiment a lot more with this format. There's a lot to take when it comes to like the TCG, especially with the release of this set. But that is it for me. Keep practicing and keep dueling.